So I had originally intended to start making quite a lot of videos at the start of this new year. As you can tell, it is now a couple weeks into the new year, and I have not even made one video. Because at the start, or even slightly before the start of the new year, my power supply ended up dying in my computer, which was very unexpected. Luckily, I had my laptop as a backup in order to continue doing lessons, in order to continue doing some basic activities, which was really useful. I was able to continue my study group, but it set me back when it came to making videos. But now that everything is back to normal, I got a replacement power supply for my computer so that everything is working. And it seems like there are no problems anymore. Some things might even be working better than they were before, so that's a good thing. I want to start making some more types of videos. The last few months, I've kind of been really focused on the DDK to SDK series. I've been really enjoying it, and people have also enjoyed it as far as I could tell. I'm getting quite a few views with those videos and a lot of really nice comments. Even some people joining my Patreon to join my study group or to even become a student because of those videos. They really enjoy the way I was teaching and covering those topics. But I did have a couple people also asking for some higher level content again, or maybe more in-depth discussion on certain topics. For example, the crosscut. It seems to be very highly requested, so I should be writing up a video on that soon because that's something I will have to probably do a little bit of research on to see how I want to teach that. So that type of content is going to be coming here. And since it's the new year, I also wanted to try to start getting better at Go for myself. Like I wanted to, like for the last year or so, I've been focused almost entirely on teaching. I've not really been trying to get to improve my own level. And I thought it could be a great time to start doing that now that the holidays are over. I don't need to worry about family stuff anymore or anything else. I can just teach and try to improve myself. I'm very happy to be put in this position because people are really supporting me on Patreon and even over here on YouTube. So I very, very much thank you guys for this. But I have been in some situations where I'm trying to answer questions or to teach some even stronger players or some of my stronger students, and I've not been exactly sure how to describe something or how to help them understand the position very well because I felt like I didn't really understand it as well as I should. And I was realizing that I'm having a harder time with like reading as clearly as before, though my reading is still good enough, you know. So I feel like I need to get back on and really really trying to improve. So I made this. It's gonna be Road to Nine Dawn kind of thing. When I first started, that's what everyone called every progression series for Go. It was always the Road to Nine Dawn. I'm pretty sure if you Google that even now, there'll be plenty of videos from like 10 years ago or something where people are trying to do Road to Nine Dawn from like 30Q or Road to Nine Dawn from 5 Dawn and like all that sort of stuff. So I may change the actual name of this in the future, but for now, we're sticking with this. I wanted to get started with this part of the video where I'm talking about how I'm coming up with what I'm going to be doing because I think sometimes people have a hard time figuring that sort of stuff out, and so hopefully this will help you in trying to figure out how to practice or what to train in your own Go journey, whatever we want to call it, right? So the first thing to really ask yourself, and what I had to ask myself, was what are the good habits and good things that I should be doing on a daily basis that I'm not currently doing or that I should be doing more of, or that if I am doing, I should continue to do. And as we all know, one of the most important things is to just play games. We should just be playing games and also reviewing games. You'll notice I have it says review in detail. I think detailed reviews can be helpful and misleading in some ways. So it depends a bit on your rank. Someone did ask me a question as a YouTube comment. Like it was something along the lines of if two Q players are studying the exact same way, but one person is playing long, thoughtful games and going into very in-depth reviews, and the other is playing very fast games and doing very quick reviews, like covering just like the one or two basic mistakes, who do you think is going to progress faster? Really, I don't think it's a straightforward answer because I think depending on your rank, you should be going in super detail with your reviews, or you should be reviewing as quickly as possible. I think sometimes when you're a lower rank, if you're going into too much detail in your review, you could be focusing on things that are not that important. So I think the easiest way to review your games as a lower rank or a beginner player, or yeah, I think experience is more so what matters here. So I'm going to say beginner. You want to just find one or two mistakes that you made each time you've played a game and then try not to make that mistake again. I've sort of always reviewed that way and never really gone in depth. And I've only done it like a couple times, and those couple times I've done it, it's actually helped me. So I think at my rank, I really want to try to review games in as much detail as possible. So play games and review in detail. That's going to be the goal that I have for my daily training. I'm probably going to do like, we'll have the what to do section. I have the what to do section next year. So I don't need to worry about telling you that part yet. But that's like very, very important for everybody. I have it listed 1 to 5. 1 is the most important. 5 is the least important. So as long as I do at least like the first couple on this list, I don't, if I don't have time to study or time to do pro games, I don't have to do that every day. But at least playing games, reviewing in detail, and then Sumego or reading practice are going to be like the last really important things to focus on. If I'm not doing that as like a good habit for me to practice every day, then I should be doing that. Yeah, sometimes we don't have time to play a game because they just take a while. So if you were just really busy, it's fine to miss a game once in a while. But since I have the time, this is the like these top 3 are the ones that I really, really want to focus on, making sure that I do every day. And then the next thing, after you know you have a good habit of doing some of these basic ideas, now we want to throw in some study. If you're only studying all the time and not playing games doing Sumego, it may not be helpful. If you're only playing games doing Sumego, it may not actually be helpful because you aren't learning anything new all the time. Sometimes you end up getting stuck in a cycle of just doing the same thing over and over again. So studying is a way of learning something new so you can practice something new every single game that you play. And then pro games, I've never really looked over pro games too much. I do it every so often for fun. When I see something that was really interesting, like when the AlphaGo stuff happened, I was really invested in Lisa Dole versus AlphaGo. And like maybe one other time I was really invested in like a tournament thing, but I've never really been interested in pro games. So I want to try adding some pro games into my diet, my training here, right? And I do think that similar to studying, pro games can introduce you to new ideas that you can practice in your own games, introduce you to new strategies or new styles that you may not have thought of for how to handle certain situations. But I kind of consider them a little bit of exposure training. Like if you can expose yourself to a lot of information, you'll eventually start picking up on it in other ways. But I want to try to look over some pro games here. And I think these 5 things are the things that even if you don't do them every single day, you should be trying to do a combination of all of these things throughout your week. So if you're not doing that, then now you know, okay, well, I'm not doing that. So let's add the thing that I'm missing back in, or let's add the other sort of thing, or take out the extra things that I'm doing that I don't necessarily need to be doing. Now, of course, a lot of people are just doing this for fun. So do whatever you enjoy the most. But this is sort of like the starting point. You have to make sure that you're doing at least some of this, most of this, right? So now that I know what I need to do, or at least what I need to make sure I'm doing every day, I also kind of need to know what I was wanting to study. And so I took 10 games where I won and lost and made a little chart here. It's really bright on my screen, but hopefully it's not too bad for you. You see there's colors, there's orange and greens, and you don't need to necessarily read all the numbers in here or anything like that. But these are just some AI stats for at least 10 of my games. And something I thought could be interesting in trying to track my progress is just tracking some of the accuracy for my games and like the mean point loss for my games as well. Now, when you get to a higher rank, it's not always about ranking up as your progress, because for my first Go Congress, I went like 3 wins and 3 losses, and I felt like some of my opponents were very hard to beat. And this was at 5 Dan. And then the next Go Congress, I'm still playing at 5 Dan because I didn't rank up from the previous one. And I went 4 wins and 2 losses. And my 2 losses I thought were extremely winnable games. Every game felt extremely manageable that year. Even though my rank was the same, I only won 1 more game from that previous year. I felt like my strength of the game was definitely significantly improved to some extent. I don't know for sure that I was now 6 Dan, even though I was beating some of the 6 Dans and stuff, right? I don't know for sure that I'm now 6 Dan, but maybe I'm like 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, right? I think my AGA rating is like 5.6 or 5.7 or something like that. So I thought it could be interesting to sort of track it through the AI to see if these stats are even useful to track. Like, I don't know exactly what rank you would want to be to track them, but I thought it could be fun. However, what we see here is that I have at the top of the list, we have the overall game accuracy and the mean point loss, the opening accuracy of the next two, opening accuracy and point loss, then mid game accuracy and point loss, then end game accuracy and point loss. And then the colors represent if I played better or worse than my opponent. So green means I played better than my opponent, and orange means I played worse. These are like the colors that you'd see in the Train app when you're looking at the performance report. So you'll see that on average for these games, this was a mixture of 6 Dawn to 9 Dawn. These are because I played like a Yunkyo in one of these games, and I played I think maybe even Ben in one of these games. Like there's a mixture of different players from like, yeah, I said 6 Dawn to 9 Dawn. And with most of these games, like there's like a couple games where I played worse than my opponent, but you can kind of see that there's a lot of green at the top where I'm very much playing better than my opponent quite often. But when we get to the end game, all of a sudden it's a lot of orange at this end game spot. Right. So if we just highlight this, right? There's just a lot of orange here. So obviously this is where I'm not playing as well as my opponent. And I figured that the idea of me playing better or worse than my opponent was a great way of measuring this. And you guys don't have to do this, but I just thought this could be interesting. This is just a fun thing for me to do. Overall game average was like 50% accuracy of the AI. For opening, it was 81%. So I'm usually doing a very good opening. For middle game, it's about 51%. And then for end game, it was 42%. So you can definitely see a little bit of a disparity. End game is technically a fairly straightforward thing. And if you're really good, oh, something's going on here. There was a random glitch there. Seemed like there was maybe an update or something for the app I'm using. So it should be back now. What I was saying, though, is that for end game, in general, especially at a high level, your end game numbers should probably be higher than your middle game. Now, I don't think the way Train does its performance report to be absolutely perfect. Maybe the like when end game starts may not always be perfect, or when the middle game starts or ends may not always be perfect, but it's just a good starting point to give me some raw data that I can just learn from. But you also notice that there's two games that don't even go all the way to end game here. And I wanted to include them for that reason, because often a lot of my games are just resigned at some point, so I don't even get a chance to practice end game. I think that most of the strong players, you should have like an 80% or higher opening and like an 80%, or maybe not actually 80, but I'm just going to say 80 for now, but something like an 80% higher middle game or end game. And then your middle game can be all over the place because that's the hardest part of the game. There's just literal math you can do to make the end game basically perfect if you know how to play it properly. So that's sort of going to have to be my goal, right? When it comes to the thing that I have to study. And then pro games that you can kind of go along with the study aspect if you want. So for pro games, I could go over someone like Lee Chang-ho, who is known as sort of a, I don't know what the title would be for end game, but he was one of the first people that was extremely good at end game. You'll see like the mean point loss here. It's like 1.466 for the overall game, 0.3 for opening, 1.7 for mid game, and 2.1 for end game. So obviously, like end game is what's raising my overall average by quite a lot to not be as good for the entire game. So I think if I can fix that, that's already one aspect of my game rounded out. Right, middle game has a lot of variety, but I really want to round out the mid game to make sure that I'm doing well. I'm probably going to actually make an actual Excel spreadsheet here, because here at the bottom, I did write out like how often I played better than my opponent. So for the opening, I played better 80% of the time. Mid game, I played better 65% of the time, and end game, I played better 31% of the time. So I don't know, but I think I will make probably an actual Excel spreadsheet, or was it the Google Sheets spreadsheet or whatever, to actually track this for like 30 games over the month and see if it's actually cool to track or not, or if I get bored of it, just like right after I know the game, put it into Katago or Train or whatever, and see how it goes. But I thought this was kind of an interesting way to actually quantify if I needed to practice something, or if I just thought I needed to practice something. And I always felt like I needed to practice in game, and it's true. I need to practice it in game. So I came up with a little what to do list here. Now, even without AI, you can try to figure this out on your own, right? You just say, this is the part of the game that I feel like I don't have an understanding of, or I feel like I struggle all the time. it's good to even ask your friends, like, where do you think I play? Like, where do you think I'm strong at the game? Like, where do you think I play the best? And maybe sometimes they'll give you an answer that you weren't expecting, and you can focus more on a different aspect that you thought you were, like, you weren't thinking about being bad at, but you actually were, right? Just come up with some idea of what to study. It's good to focus on whatever your biggest weakness is. I always like to round out my game. If you're confused in the opening ever, you always start with the opening. Then you always go to middle game with some shape and some other sorts of invasions and reductions and those sorts of ideas, how to properly attack. And then end game, there is just how to count it, the proper order of moves, right? If, as long as you're doing those things right, you should actually have a pretty high score in the end game. And that's my goal here. So I'm hoping that by the time I check this after having studied something, my overall game, maybe not the accuracy, but the mean point loss should go from like 1.46 to maybe like 1.2 or 1.0. Who knows? We'll have to see how that goes over time. Now it comes to, what am I actually going to be doing every day? Or what do I need to try to do every day? So, of course, the play games and review section, I want to play specifically on my Keltani account on Fox. And I want to use longer time settings, the 20-minute by 60-second time setting. The Keltani account is the very first account I made on Fox, and it's just sitting at 5 Dawn because I never play on it. I made other accounts for other things, and I just ended up never playing on it. So it's just been sitting there. Last time I played on it was like maybe even 2 years ago. I want to rank that first account up, a public account that people can follow along with if they really want to. And this will be like going to like my main account going forward. I'll still want to play on other accounts or other servers, but my main goal is sort of Fox. And right, we're trying to get to 9 Dawn, or at least as close as we can to like 9 Dawn on Fox. So I guess a steady 8 Dawn or something. That'd be really nice, right? I'll play Keltani account on Fox with longer time settings, and then take my time to look through smaller details in review, like test shape, common sequences, end game, go over some stuff with AI, and etc. So I've noticed that as I've gotten stronger, the more I look in detail in a review, the better it is for me, because there's a lot of really small details that if I just fix one move, even if it's only like a 1 point better or half a point better, in some situations that will matter a lot more than I think it does. And just having an overall better understanding of very detailed positions is helpful, because I get really lost very easily when the game gets very complicated. So I always try to simplify as best I can, which is why I teach the way I do, of course. It would be nice if I could understand things to a higher degree and I don't have to worry as much about the complicated positions, right? I want to still be the guy that plays simple. If my opponent drags me into being complicated, I'm going to be okay with being complicated. So that's sort of the idea. And then for Sumigo and reading, something I really, really suggest for everybody. It's one of my absolute favorite things. Maybe I haven't made any videos about that yet, I think, but are these Trouble Master books. I absolutely like them. There's volume 1 and there's a volume 2 here. I think these are fantastic for just getting better at reading itself. I'm already like halfway through this one, right? Like I did it a long time ago. I did some of these a long time ago, but it was just mainly for fun, like doing a random puzzle when you're bored sort of thing. But the idea behind the Trouble Master, because I have the Sumigo reading thing, it's the 1 Trouble Master per day. The idea behind Trouble Master is that it's just a position you have to look at and read things out until you find the answer. And I think that's one of the best ways to try to just get better at your reading ability itself. It's a little bit about recognizing shape. It's a little bit about recognizing certain techniques and stuff. It's also just about reading as deep as you can and just trying to figure things out overall. And there's some pretty hard problems in there, but not all Sumigo training is about reading as deeply as you can. Sometimes you're trying to, I'm going to say, memorize positions so that you understand certain techniques or certain shapes, so that you don't have to think about them as hard in actual games. You can solve them instantly by just looking at them. But in this case, I think my actual reading ability needs to be improved overall. And then also my Sumigo ability. That's why I have this as Sumigo and reading. And so I absolutely recommend Trouble Master for everybody. It's such a fun series to just sit there and look at. It's by Insong from the Youngusang Dojang. He makes the AYD and the EYD stuff. It's really cool. I hope he makes another book. That way I have plenty of problems to go through. But just one problem every day is a whole thing, just like you see on the front of this book here. It's an entire board you just have to stare at. Oh, if I can get the right thing here. Yeah, it's just an entire board you have to stare at. There's problems all over the board. You just have to figure it out. And technically, not all the problems are even that hard, but sometimes just finding the problem and realizing that there's something there and reading it is very similar to a real game. but it's a great test of what you're doing. Yeah. And the next thing here is I have 30 minutes of Road to Fordon. There's this guy that made, I guess, a Cho Sok Bin. I'm not sure if that's how you actually say his name, but he made this thing a while ago. It was called A Thousand Fundamental Problems to Become One Dawn. It's the Let's Study Go series. And I actually quite like this first book. It's a bit easy for me. It has quite a lot of cool tips and tricks, sort of information throughout, has some trouble master like problems throughout, as well as just a large amount of regular Sumego, some opening stuff, just a lot of good information that's actually better than I expected, I have to say. The format of the book and stuff could be slightly better. Like if the book was slightly bigger, like the Trouble Master books, that'd be better. But he also ended up making the Road to Fordon, Let's Master Go. And when he says Fordon, he means Fordon, AGA, and EGF. And so this should be, or is, I guess I should say, some Joseki information. It's life and death problems, like under the stones and special ways of trying to live and all that sort of stuff. And my reading is, from my perspective, not quite up to snuff in comparison to other people around my rank. Like if I think of someone like Eric Yoder or a Telegraph Go, for example, even if I'm playing at 7 Dawn or 8 Dawn and I'm winning a game, when I go to solve Sumego on like 101 Wei Chi, I'm solving it at like 1 Dawn or 1Q level most of the time, and then I start struggling a bit higher than that. But then they'll be solving problems at around like the 3 Dawn to 4 Dawn range, where I feel like I have such a hard time solving all those problems. There's some of them that I can do, but I can't do all of them. So it'd be nice if I could get to like the same level that it seems as if most other people are at with Sumego. And I think working through books is often the slightly better way to do it. And so I wanted to try this one out because I liked the first one. So I'm going to work through this because it's not all Sumego. I'll probably do some other stuff as well. But this is just one of the first things I wanted to try out. So we're working through that just a little bit every day. And then because that's not all Sumego, I also still want to make sure that I'm doing at least the 101 Wei Chi homework. The homework are some things you can set up for yourself, but also every day when you log into 101 Wei Chi, it'll have like 10 problems that you can solve that are generally around the rank that your account is, sometimes a little bit lower, sometimes a little bit higher. It's just a nice little warm up every day. And then if I feel like I need more apart from this, if I feel like it's not enough, that's when I will be adding more specific Sumego stuff, like specific collections I want to work through, like the Gokyo Shumio or something like that, right? Should be fun. I actually like solving Sumegos, and I haven't been doing it, so it'll be nice to get back on that. So this part's actually really, really important for everybody. You should try to figure this out for yourself, right? Do you want to play the one slow game every day, which is sort of what I'm going for here? I want to play on just the same account for this particular purpose to try to rank this one particular account up as high as I can. And then after I get it up as high as I can, I want to see what I need to do to improve. I already know one of the things I need to do to improve, and that goes down to the study section down here. I made this a separate thing because it just felt right to sort of separate it here. For the study section, it's all going to be about end game for now. There's a couple of things I just need to make sure I know my end game. If I can raise those numbers that we saw here, like raise it from 42% to like 60% or 70% for my end game, which should be possible and I should be able to do most games on average, right? We're looking for the average here. There's going to be games I play way worse because it's just a weird game and there was reading stuff, whatever. But on average, I should be able to make it up to like 50, 60, 70% or 80%, right? But lowering at least my mean point loss in the end game. I shouldn't be losing many points in the end game. If I can do that, my overall game accuracy and game point loss and all that stuff will be much better. And then I can just entirely focus on becoming as strong as I can in the middle game and my reading. I really like the book, Get Strong at End Game. It's been a long time since I've actually gone through it. And so I said review, Get Strong at End Game. Review meaning just go over it again, make sure that I finish the book, make sure I do know everything that's in it, and then I can move on to other in-game books. The other in-game books I have here are like Lee Cheng-ho's in-game techniques, which I think is technically better than Get Strong at In-Game. But I think Get Strong at In-Game is the easier book to read through and finish and just get stronger at in-game with. So I think that is a fantastic starting point for a lot of people. And the Lee Cheng-ho's in-game techniques, I believe it's hard to buy anymore. I have the Smart Go versions, but they've been taken off the app now because I think publishing rights and stuff. But I still have my copy because I bought it before that. And there's also the newer endgame book called Vital Endgame by the same person, Janice Kim, who did the Learn to Play Go series, which I really liked. And I tried reading it a while ago, and I wasn't very happy with it overall, but I was learning from it. Because I really liked the Learn to Play Go series so much, it was hard for me to get into the Vital Endgame book because I didn't think it was written as well. But I do think that, as I said, I was still learning from it, so I should probably try to go back through it now that I know I'm not going to have the rose-colored glasses of thinking it's going to be amazing because I love like the original, right? Now I know it's just about the studying; it'll be fine. But the other thing that I really am going to be focused on as well are the Galaxy endgame problems. So over here on the Galaxy website, there is this subject section, and you have capturing race, balance attacks, settling weak groups, etc. And then at the very end, we have end game here. I had to make a brand new account, or I didn't have to. I was able to finally make my own account for this website, so I haven't actually done any of these yet on this account. But what this is that these are just you play against the AI from the position it tells you, and you just have to either win the game or win the fight or win the capturing race or whatever it is. And that's sort of the goal. So I just have to play good end game from this point on the board, win by a couple points, but it's me playing against the 9 dawn or pre-9 dawn AI to practice end game. And I think this is actually a really, really great way to practice these large scale end games. These are like really small end game moves that are very easy for me to make mistakes with, and I shouldn't really be making that many mistakes with these types of moves. So we go back here, and there's like 100 of these. Yeah, 100 of these problems. So I should be able to work through them one at a time. Even if I can't solve one day, I can just come back and try it again. You can pay to see what the answer is, but it does require payment. So it's also fine to just work through them and try to figure it out from that in that way. So I think that's going to be a very, very useful resource for getting better at in-game. I did that before Go Congress on my previous Golexi account, and I played very decent in-game that year, which really, really helped me out. So that's what I mean here when I say Golexi in-game problems. Very, very useful. There are some other places you can get in-game problems, and I'm going to look into those and research those, see if I want to do it. Like there's 9x9 in-game and 13x13 in-game problems and that sort of stuff. So I'll probably check those out and see if I want to do those as well. I think I probably do. I'll test them out before I decide for sure. And then pro games, like I said here, I could make it match sort of what I'm trying to study. So I could study some Lee Ching Ho games or even some modern pros. Most modern pros are supposed to play a very solid end game no matter what, kind of no matter who you're studying. Or I need to try to find someone that I really resonate with, which it's hard for me to do. I've not found any pro that's really sparked a huge interest in me yet. But something that Michael Redman once said is that he said it was really obvious that newer players don't study classical pro games. So I thought it could be nice to potentially study some classical pro games and even work through some of the books that I have that have like pro game reviews in them. Like I have Killer of Go with Sakata AO and a couple of those types of things. I'm gonna get my board out and just try to work through those books or try to work through some older pro games. I think that could be kind of fun. But I think that's basically it. I just need to overall increase my accuracy or my mean point loss overall here. But I know that I just need to get better in game, and these are things that I'm going to try to be doing like on a daily basis. This is sort of a daily basis thing. Now it's okay if I miss a day or two. It's not super strict. I'm not trying to become a professional player right now. I'm just trying to get better so that then I can maybe help my students in a better way and be able to describe things for my videos in a better way. Like when I'm thinking about this cross-cut video I want to make, and I think there's a lot that I could talk about, and I'm not exactly sure what's the most important. So hopefully this will help me, and hopefully me going through and talking about how I tried to figure this out has also helped you if you want to try to figure this out for yourself. Just remember, it's just about deciding if you're doing the things you're supposed to be doing, either on a daily basis or as often as you can, whatever your normal schedule is in your life, and then finding out what you actually need to study based on what your weaknesses are in your own games, and then finding the resources and things that you need to use to actually get better at the game. Hope you enjoyed this video. We're looking forward to the, maybe not crosscut video right away, but some game reviews that I'll probably make while playing on this account and some other sorts of stuff like that. I'll probably even upload some of those for YouTube members. This feels like a really great way to add some extra content for members, maybe some live games and that sort of stuff, because it's been a while and I feel bad because people are supporting me and I've not been giving them videos on both ends here. And I hope your start of the new year was better than mine and you're able to accomplish all the goals you've set out for this year. Have a good day and have fun.